everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video we're going to talk about employment, because we understand because of the pandemic a lot of people have lost their jobs. Today I have a guest with me. He's also an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, but he has mostly focused, or he's majorly focused on employment law. So, and I understand because of the pandemic a lot of people have lost their jobs, so today he's going to shed more light on employment law. So, Alan, during this period, I know most of your cases are employment cases.
Correct.
So, tell us more about it. Like, what are the major cases that you get?
As you said correctly, majority of the matters that currently have at the firm are employment disputes. But ours is not a boutique law firm that only uniquely does employment disputes.
But that's the majority of your cases currently.
Exactly.
Okay.
We do, even have matters at the Retirement Benefits Authority.
Okay.
Pension issues. But as you pointed out correctly, majority of the matters are employment, and for good reason. The filing fees in employment matters are very friendly, and they are the most prevalent right now because of the COVID pandemic. Employment disputes may be of a varied nature. However, predominantly right now, the course of action is termination of employment. Any employment may be terminated or on different accounts. Redundancy is one of the ways in which someone's employment may be terminated.
Okay, for a layman, what is redundancy?
Redundancy happens when your employment is taken away from you on the basis that the work is no longer available, mostly because your services have been rendered superfluous by events that are out of the employer's control. Yeah.
So in short, that position where you have been declared redundant should not be in existence after you've been fired. Like, let's say for instance I'm declared redundant.
Yes.
And then someone else is hired.
Yes.
Is that
then now we question the basis of the rationale for the redundancy in the first place, because you see that's why it is termination. If basically the employment issues of employment in Kenya are governed mainly by a statute called the Employment Act. The Employment Act sets out the procedure that employers have to follow. Each and every their steps, employers have to follow that procedure before they terminate your employment on account of redundancy. If an employer omits even a single step, courts have found that would amount to unfair termination, and an employee would be entitled to remedies that any other employee would be entitled to, in form of damages mostly, when a finding of unfair termination is made. However, I wanted to add that aside from redundancy, there are many other instances where unfair termination as a cause of action would arise, including where a fixed term contract, an employer fails to renew a fixed term contract. This is a fairly new area, and most people may not be familiar with it. However, courts have called for amendment of the Employment Act to include that aspect of legitimate expectation in the event a fixed term contract is not renewed on when an employee legitimately expects that fixed term contract to be renewed. I would say these are some of the areas that I have learned, having had now a lot of time on employment matters, reading and trying to find solutions for different problems. This is something I have learned that I probably didn't know in the past. And employment law is very technical. It's extremely difficult. to find a decision by an employer that is faultless, that is without fault. That is why it is very technical. Actually, let me surprise you. If you're not familiar with employment law, are you aware that even in cases of summary dismissal, yeah, where you find someone with a mistake as grave as it can be, yeah, that under the law currently, you cannot dismiss someone on the spot.
Yeah, I know there's some set procedures that you have to follow.
However grave the mistake is, you cannot dismiss someone on the spot. Yeah, you have to, invite them for a hearing, then invite them with someone of their choice, and then listen to them and then write a detailed decision terminating them. You have to give reasons why you have terminated them. All these procedures need to be followed.
Giving them an opportunity for them to be
exactly
heard.
Give them an opportunity to be heard. Rules of natural justice. Yeah, and it's extremely interesting.
So basically what you're saying, as an employee, if you're fired, even though you feel that it was justified, still consult a lawyer to
you
just
have
see,
to yes you have to
find out
run it through a lawyer.
What avenues you can use
exactly
to
run it through a lawyer. There are so many issues. Like I said, the employment law is extremely technical. There are so many issues. The courts are usually very lenient on employees because in the balance of power, employers sit at exactly, so they are more powerful, so they occupy a position where they can easily take advantage of the weaker party, sometimes wittingly or unwittingly. And as a result, it's very easy to find.
The law favors mostly
exactly.
They try to protect the rights of the employee
exactly.
because they're the weaker party.
Yeah, so employees increasingly they're becoming aware. You see many people coming. Try as much as possible to keep records of what happens. Try and have things written. Yeah.
Like have hard evidence.
Have hard evidence, even in the form of text messages and things like that.
You keep those.
Exactly. It's easy. Photos, all these things, because it's hard to go to court with nothing.
Yeah, but you need that evidence, even though the court favors mostly the employee.
Yes.
Without evidence,
you will not prove anything. I've had people come to the office. Yeah, they have a good case. They've been dismissed on the spot. There's no evidence. However, this person was being paid in cash.
Oh, they don't have anything.
They were being paid in cash.
Maybe they didn't sign a contract.
Exactly. There's no documentation whatsoever that shows that they were working in that place. Therefore, as the lawyer, you find yourself in a very hard place. Someone has a genuine grievance here, but you are unable to help them because it would be futile.
Because evidence is everything.
Because evidence is not there. So try as much as possible to get some form of documentation.
So even basically, if you are an employee somewhere, because you don't know the future, at least make sure you're already protected in case of anything. You have, like they have said, employment contract.
Exactly.
If you're being paid, at least you have evidence, because the only evidence you have is now your pay slip, the one that you're being paid.
Yeah. Try and have something
tangible
that connects, that can connect you with your employer, that can show how much you are being paid. These things are extremely important when you're trying to demonstrate unfair termination.
Okay. And what about an employee who has been fired and they don't have money on the spot? Of course, maybe I was fired and I didn't have. Let's give a scenario. I was the one who was fired and I didn't have money.
You are not without recourse, and this is one of the main reasons why the courts have really the filing fees for employment matters are the lowest. Because the judiciary factored in the plight of employees. Sometimes you are fired without, in the middle of the month we don't pay you anything. Yeah, and then since you've been fired, that means you don't have a source of income, you may not have money. One important thing also that employees need to know is that there's a limitation period of 3 years.
Okay, so you can't
when 3 years lapse, you cannot bring any claim against your employer anymore. Courts have never come across any decision where the court has agreed to extend time to anybody.
Oh, I think that's what most employees don't know, like that's limitation.
Yes.
Every case has a statute of limitation.
Yes.
Because despite the fact that the law protects the employees, also the employer has to be protected in a way. Like you can't stay the entire year hoping that, like 10 years from now, someone can't just come out of nowhere.
Sometimes you've lost the witnesses, the employees have gone, who would have been your witnesses.
Yeah, or even your business has already, for the employer, maybe it has collapsed.
Yeah, or you've lost documents.
Yeah.
A fire came, blazed down the building. So, if someone brings a suit against you, how are you supposed to show anything? So the law is very fair. Lady Justice is blindfolded, so, and has to be very fair. And lawyers have found a creative way of for finding a way to even if you don't have any money to file these cases in court, you can
an agreement.
Yes, you can agree locally with your lawyer, and then these cases can be filed, and then once you're paid, and then the lawyer
takes days. And that's a fair deal, because now, especially if you're not sure if the lawyer is going to win the case, because here the lawyer is taking a risk.
Because which other option do you have?
Yeah.
Just to sit there.
So if you don't have money
and time is running,
so
it's not a good excuse that you didn't have money at the time.
Yeah, because most lawyers understand, they'll give you
time won't be extended on that basis that you
didn't have money. That's why, as you said, the filing fees are very low.
Yes.
Yeah. And most advocates come into an argument first, then you'll pay.
Exactly.
They'll take a percentage from the court settlement that you're going to get.
So employment law is exciting. I enjoy doing it. I think that it's an area that is going to growing, expand the jurisprudence. It's growing.
And then it's one of the area that chances of success is very high.
Because it's technical, and it's very difficult for an employer to observe. To
100% observe the guidelines.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for sharing. So, how can people reach you?
My contacts will be shared.
Yeah, the email. The email is okay. Yeah, for people who want, if you want maybe representation or just to consult.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, I'll share his email. Here on the description box, or even here on the screen.
Asante sana.
Thank you so much.
Usisahau kusubscribe.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe. Bye.
Adios.